One. Welcome, everybody, to another live stream on the Apex Communications Network. I am Jan Almasy, and with me on the other end of a screen, because we are on quarantine, is Mr. Mark Leach. How's it
Hey,
going,
man.
brother?
Good. Thanks for having me.
No problem. So, for those of you that have been paying attention to Apex for any length of time, you'll know that Mark is actually, I believe, episode 2 or episode 3. I mean, dude, you were like
I was right in
early
the beginning
on.
of it.
Yeah, you were
Yeah.
early on in the days of the podcast. So I
I think
actually
I
have been
met you. I met you at the college or something,
yeah,
didn't I?
you met me at
Yeah.
Walsh. We didn't even have a studio at the time.
Yeah.
And we don't even have a studio now, but that's a different story. But so we like I've been meaning to actually tell you this for a while, and just to kind of reinforce, and this will be perfect because people can understand what kind of guy you are. But like, dude, we had 3 listeners our first month that we released. And so like me approaching you and saying, "Hey, come on the podcast. This is what we can do," producing that video and giving those tickets to Cody's girlfriend,
Oh, yeah.
um, which is actually still upticking in views. I was just looking at it the other day and it's still kind of consistently going up in the
Oh,
right
that's cool.
but like you came on the show and we literally had, like I said, 3 to 5 listeners at the time, but it's like you didn't really care about the number of listeners or whatever else. It was just coming on and being able to tell a story and, get on a podcast and push it out and help support somebody local. Because I remember I was going back and I was reading the messages that I sent you and I was like, "Hey man, like this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to showcase people from the local area that are doing cool stuff to try to reach out to these kids."
Yeah.
And that was like the entire mentality behind all of it. And, here we are a year and a half later hopping
Yeah.
on a live stream because we've just, that relationship has been built and ended up helping with that show up in Akron at Goodyear Theater,
Yeah.
which was phenomenal. Being able to bring that kid backstage and
For sure.
and get him to meet you and everything, it's been a phenomenal journey. So, you just thanks, I guess, for being one of the first
No,
3
man, of
episodes.
course. Man, I
For
know, especially like in this industry, like even trying to get people that are friends, but they're industry friends, just to even get back to you on something is like, it's
oh
so
yeah,
frustrating. I'm trying to put something together. And it's like, if so it takes 2 seconds out of your day to go help somebody out to do something like this, especially. So it's like,
right,
why not just do it?
right,
So I
yeah.
appreciate
And
you reaching
for
out.
for reference, now we are averaging about 3,000 to 5,000 listeners a month.
That's great.
So
See, that's awesome.
So I'll be able, bringing a little bit more value to the table now. You know what I mean? Like, hey, we've been at it a little while. We're getting a little bit better at it. I got a fancier microphone. Life's good. So, all right, for those of you that are just tuning in, like I said, I am on here with Mark Leach to talk about some stuff going on in the world. Because this is probably the first time you've experienced this, but this may be a standard in the future. We don't know. I'd like to hear your opinion on live streaming concerts because I've seen you do that a couple of times. And I think the latest one was with the Thirsty Cowboy, maybe.
Yeah,
Um,
we've been doing that for the past month now, through Thirsty Cowboys Instagram page. But it's crazy, man. It's nuts. And like, the one part of me, the optimistic side, is like, getting to the end of this and looking back and being like, man, can you remember when we had to do that?
yeah,
And then, Caitlin, my fiance, Caitlin,
I
she
do.
was like, what if, she's like, what if this is the new normal? And we're just like, looking back to like, hey, remember how things used to be? And so it's
Right.
just a weird limbo time right now.
Yeah. I was just talking to somebody the other day about, what this looks like. And there's been a lot of people that I've seen that have been like, oh, we want to go back to how things were.
Mm.
That's all we want. We want to go back to being able to go out to a restaurant. We want to go back to being able to go to a concert or do this or do that. And I keep looking at people and I'm like, you do realize that we're not going to be able to go backwards, right?
Right.
This has happened. It's going to continue progressing. And it's, there's a lot of companies right now that are realizing that, hey, I don't have to have my staff in a physical building
Hmm.
in order to get work done.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's going to be a lot of revelation throughout all of this for sure.
Yeah. What was it like the first time that you were doing like that live stream concert and you didn't have, because I feel like a lot of what artists go through on stage, because I've sang, I mean, I've never sang
Hmm.
at
Yeah.
that level, but you get feedback from the audience, and
Mhm.
you vibe off of them, and it enhances the music and the experience. What was it like live streaming that for the first time?
It's so weird, man. Just like you hit the nail on the head, like you're feeding off of energy from other people, and so when you don't have that, you're just kind of and the song ends, and it's no different than you playing the same song, on the edge of your bed by yourself. But you're playing it in front of however many people, but it doesn't seem
Right.
like that, and there's no actual applause or anything. So you're just kind of like, I hope
Yeah.
you liked it, and then you go to the next one. So there's no like real. I mean, besides the comments they type in, but that's all you
Right.
have.
Yeah, you're like, I don't know who's all out there, but
Yeah,
hopefully you enjoyed that.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
That
it's
I
great.
can't imagine what that would be like, because like I said, the only thing that I can think of is just how much you feed off, because I've watched you perform, so it's like
Hmm.
how much you actually feed off of the crowd and everything like that. Um,
And then, like, like using a microphone and like speakers and reverb and like all that stuff that you can
oh yeah.
like use to enhance your performance when you don't have any of that stuff and it's just you in a room. It's like this is all you're getting, that dry voice against the air. That's it. I hope you like it.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't even think about that, like, all those extra production elements that go into
Hmm.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure that that's things that people don't put together. Have they been relatively sick? Have they been good? I mean, have you been getting a decent
Yeah.
draw and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's been really cool. I think for artists of mine who live around the country and who are trying to get their foot in their door in other markets, so it's cool for them because they don't actually have to physically make the trip. They can just do it via Instagram. So it's been
Right.
helpful, I think, for them and for the thirsty. So it's been great.
Good, good. That makes me happy. I was hoping that stuff like that would pop up and actually be successful. Is that a Mark Leach, solo cup there?
It is.
Oh,
It
look at that.
is.
I have
Yeah.
I have an
Made
autographed
myself
one of
one.
those on my dresser. Not here, but okay, so another thing that I wanted to kind of touch base on before we dive into the album that's kind of under production and the new single and everything like that is, um, your dad's business, Ray.
Mhm.
I mean, Leach's Meats and Sweets has been a staple of Barberton for forever.
Yeah.
Which also, speaking of Barberton, I need to thank you again for introducing me to Kobe, because
Man,
that
he's the
that
greatest.
relationship has been phenomenal. That dude
Good.
is like the definition of, if you bring something positive to the table and you can show me that you're willing to help other people, I will give you the shirt off of my back to make sure that you're
Yep.
able to help other people.
Yep.
Like,
Absolutely.
little bit scary when you first meet him, little intimidating, not gonna lie, you know, but it's because he's so focused on, like, these are my value system. You either respect my value system or you can GTFO.
Yep, for
And
sure. He is like literally he will have your back no matter what. And then at the same time, I've seen him physically toss a guy across the room. So like he is like, I mean, no joke. That's a true story. So like,
yeah.
but he's like the nicest guy ever. So he's a good friend.
Yeah, you have to. He's the kind of person where, like, you really have to get him to red line to the point where he's gonna do something. They not always like that, but oh, Caitlin popped in. What up?
And Kobe, sorry, the guy we're talking about, Kobe's the owner of the Corner Bar in Barberton.
Yes,
If any of you guys are wondering, Kobe owns that bar. So if you ever want to go see him, that's where you need to go.
go hang out. Yeah. So it looks like we've got about 6 people in here. If you are in here and you have questions for Mark, go ahead and drop them in the comment section. We will 110% try to get him to divulge answers, and then move on with our talk here. But so we were talking about Ray and the business and everything like that.
Yeah.
How has everything been affected as far as the family business goes? Because I remember when we did your interview. So let's see here. Holly says hello.
Hey,
Um,
hey, Ollie.
so we talked about you writing some of your first songs making barbecue sauce.
Hmm.
I remember that story, and I'll probably remember it till the day I die, because some of the ideas, I always tell people I came up with Apex while I was cooking eggs in my
Yeah.
apartment. You know what I mean? So being that personally connected and knowing that family business has been around for so long, what has it been like with everything going on?
Um, I will say that it's been awesome to see the support of the community in Barberton for the shop because they have been around for so long.
Mm,
I know it's been, I know you love the adapt and overcome. That is your motto. like
Yeah.
on anything in life, and that has been the motto of my dad and family throughout the course of this.
Right.
Because everything is different, they're not used to people having to wait outside. My dad will tell you since the bakery opened, he's never had to do anything like this before, so it's all been so different
Right.
for him, and it's been taking a level of patience on the community to get used to this
Yeah.
new level of business or new things that they're doing. But overall, I think my dad was saying, I think people will look back at this and realize just how hard Leach's like worked to stay relevant during this
Right.
pandemic.
Yeah.
So
And to stay supportive of the community, like
yeah,
not just
for
the
sure.
community supporting them, but
Yeah.
you guys making sure that you're still there and being very vocal. I keep an eye on, he posts a lot of things and he doesn't post very often, but when he does, it's something worth reading.
Hmm.
And he's
Yep.
been very adamant about the fact, like, listen, if anybody needs, food, if anybody needs anything, we are here and we are Barberton,
Yep.
essentially. We'll have your back, which
For
has
sure.
been absolutely beautiful to watch unfold.
Yeah. I mean, and not just even for his customers, he's been doing things to help like the food banks in the area,
Yeah.
and free loaves of bread for them, and all that stuff. So it's just, I think he recognizes what kind of influence that the shop does have on the city, and so he's just trying to do that
Right. Yeah, and that's kind of Kobe's mentality too with
for sure.
everything that he's been involved in. It's just it's been I got into a conversation with Lieutenant Colonel Brown, right, which was actually the inspiration for a lot of this and our first episode on Apex. And he said that, the last time that the world experienced something like this was like World War II.
Hmm.
That Kobe Kobe says Papa Ray is a gangster. What is up, my dude? I was hoping that you would pop in here when I invited you. That's awesome. Um, oh man. Well, hopefully he popped in after I said that I thought he was intimidating. But if he didn't hear it then, now he's gonna hear it now. Um, but we were talking about like we said, the last time that the world was really involved with something like this, it was World War II. And what did we do as a country? We had aluminum drives, we had war bonds, we had rubber drives, we had, all of these different things to try to support the war fighter. And our mentality was it takes a nation, right?
Hmm.
Everybody has a little piece to play. Everybody can do something. And that's what I'm trying to tell people right now is regardless of whether you're an artist trying to bring somebody a little bit of, relaxation and listen to some good music, or you're a healthcare worker, on the front lines, like all my brothers and sisters that are out there that are in the medical field, or
Hmm.
you're somebody that the only thing that you can do is self-isolate, everybody has a piece.
Yeah.
And we're all in it together. And I think that that's, like you said to him, Ray helping out with donating, loaves of bread and helping the food banks. It's been cool watching the local communities realize how much they rely on their neighbors.
Hmm.
And
For
then
sure.
people reaching out. Like I know people in Canton that are straight up going out to Aldi's and buying groceries for elderly people and leaving it on their doorsteps.
That's great.
I'm like, and my first thought was like, why can't it be like this all the time?
Hmm. Yeah.
I think people are going to realize, oh, like, wow, maybe I don't need a lot of the material things that I thought I needed
Hmm.
to be happy. I have people texting me like, hey, I'm, feeling amazing sitting on my back porch just listening to the birds chirp for the first
Yeah.
time in a decade. And if people are
Well, I
being,
mean, you look at something like what happened and like across the world, and it's affecting Barberton, Ohio. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy how
right,
like the action of one person, how that's a ripple effect. But then in the same way, if you were to spin that into a positive light, it's like those people that are picking up groceries at Aldi's and dropping them off. That
right,
same ripple effect can be a thing. So it's
right.
like I think it's just how close everybody in the world is, not just in our communities. Like it is just 1 degree away.
Exactly.
So it's
Exactly. I'm gonna go over here to the Facebook watch party that I have set up here. Michael Pettit, who's a really good friend of mine that actually lives down in Knoxville, he
mhm.
said he wants to know how it feels to still be like producing music in Nashville, or and producing music in a time like this. And then he also wants to mention that you wrote his favorite song, if there's a bar up in heaven. That's the one that he listens to every time he goes to visit his grandfather.
Oh
So
man, First off, that's so cool to hear, man. That's my favorite song I've ever written. So, um, yeah, it's different. The way that it's, funny you bring that up. I was just in a text thread with some of the musicians playing on the new record that I'm working on, because now it's a whole different ballgame, because I thought I was going to be able to get into the studio, in May to start working physically with the people. And now it's starting to look like that everybody has to kind of record their parts remotely,
Mm,
at their houses or a studio they can get into. And same with me, I'm going to have to do vocals in a different studio than they're doing everything else. And then it's going to be
right.
kind of it all being fused together at the end. So it's
Yeah.
definitely a different
God bless
process.
that producer.
Yeah, it's
Whoever.
yeah. Tevis, my bass player.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the guy producing it. So he's been
Yeah.
a
He
godsend to
definitely.
this whole
Yeah, is definitely going to need a couple of high fives and some
thing.
props after all of that because
Some hugs.
yeah, exactly. I know how much of a frustrating thing it is for Popio right now, our producer. When I record, like we just recorded a podcast episode with a guy in Belgium,
Oh
and
wow.
the feed kind of got a little bit wonky there for a little while, and so he's going to have 6 separate audio files that he's going to have to sort through and line up. And I'm like, man, I'm sorry. Here's this pile of crap. Please make
Oh no,
magic and make it sound okay. But he's
they're
up to the
the unsung
challenge.
heroes
Yeah. So the man behind the curtain really
for sure.
putting it together there. So
Yeah.
all right, guys. So just as a reminder, if you are just tuning in, we are sitting here with Mark Leach, a local country artist from Barberton, Ohio, previous Apex podcast guest and a dear friend. Why don't we go ahead and talk about your the single that you just released, "The Other Guy,"
Yeah. So
and that story behind that song, and what you're feeling right now as you are letting it do its thing.
yeah, the other guy was a song that it was about 2 years ago. I was going into a write with a guy named Ian Christian and my friend Robin Collins, and I was heading into the write, and then my hand was all like mangled up from work, like it had bruises on it and stuff. And I get into the write, and Robin asked me what happened to my hand, and I said, "Oh, you should see the other guy." And Ian, who's in the room, he's like, "Oh man, I just wrote a song a couple days ago with that title," and so he played it for us, and I immediately fell in love with this song. And so 6 months ago, I texted Ian and I said, "Hey man, has anybody cut that song?" Because he had some major artists that were wanting to record it.
Right.
And he's like, "No man, you can have it if you want it." And so that's how it went. So it was Ian Christian, Hunter Leaf, Lil Stone, and Trini Anderson
Right.
wrote the song. And so it's going to be the one song on this new album that I did not write, but it's been
Right.
a song I've been in love with for a couple years now. So
Yeah. Yeah. And I was just, for those of you, what's your most popular platform, Mark? Spotify?
yeah, probably Spotify.
All right. I'm going to take a quick second. I'm going to go ahead and post that link on the Facebook for all of you guys to find it. So that we can get some traction there. But I really, really like it. If you guys have listened to any of Mark's stuff, I think that it has a very 65 Chevy Cool kind of vibe to it. Um, you know, oh, you know who to call, that type of vibe. Um,
Yeah.
and so it's, a very, very the other man. I typed in the other guy and the freaking the other guy's movie popped up. Probably just put in Mark Leach Spotify. I'm not going to post the link to a. Who is that? Will Ferrell? No, that's not him. Squirrel. Anyway. Oh, your number one song is still Drinking Claws. I remember being in the studio watching
You
that
were there.
getting
Yeah.
edited and getting recorded. That was
And
awesome.
you saw Nate's feet. Remember?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, like, oh my God, they're like hands.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey Monet is always barefoot. Like no matter where they go, they're always barefoot. And
Yeah. Yeah.
Jan got to witness that, and he's like, "Oh
That
my
is
God, their feet are like hands."
hilarious. Okay, here we go. We'll post this link to everybody. If you are watching this right now, I'm going to go ahead and post this in the comments on Facebook so you can check it out. And bing, bang, boom, it is done. Oh, Michael Pettit also says She Don't Go to Church is probably his second favorite one. And he wants to know what inspired you to write that one.
She Don't Go to Church was written with my buddy Bradley Banning, who's a Texas artist, and he was flying in from Texas to Nashville to write with me. And he was telling me when he got there that he met this girl at the airport, and they hit it off, great connection. Thought for sure she was the one, and then she said she loves country music but hates Eric Church, and so we wrote "She Don't Go to Church."
Oh man, for a link that is in the entire song. I mean, if you've listened to the song, it does. I mean, really reflect about that. You know, she's a good Christian girl. She has all these positive qualities. However, comma, you know, she does not like Eric Church. So, you know,
Man,
that's
you should see the comments I get on that song. Like, you're telling me you wouldn't date a girl because she doesn't go to church? Like, they mean physical church, and I'm like, no, it doesn't have anything to do with that. It's about Eric Church. And just you can't try to explain it to everybody. You just hope they
yeah, yeah. Michael says that not liking Eric Church is blasphemy. So
Yeah.
that's basically the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, check out the Facebook comments for a link to the other guy. So you know got the song, you had fallen in love with it, and you got the chance to cut it.
Mm-hmm.
How has it been doing since you put it out?
It's good, man. It's I mean, I want to say it's averaging a little over 1,000 streams a day.
Nice.
Which as an independent artist, yeah, you chalk that up as a win.
Right.
Um, so I mean, but the beauty of it is what I've been doing is releasing a song a month. So last month was Another Shot. This month is The Other Guy. Next month will be a new song. So by the time it fades and the hype on this song goes down, then I'm already ready to put out another one and then build it back up again.
Right,
So
right. I think we actually talked about that being like an interesting strategy that people had been using,
mhm.
um, and that you were going to give that a shot. So that's cool that you're actually putting it into practice. Single.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's been different. I mean, for us for sure because we've never done anything like this. So I'm trying to figure out when the cutoff point's going to be when we just don't do that, and then I just put out the rest of the album,
Right.
and then you'll just get it in one whole product
And this, I mean, it's uncharted territory for everybody right now. So
for
now's the
sure.
perfect time to kind of experiment with that kind of stuff
Yeah.
and see what happens. Um, let's see here. So the new album, you know, we don't have to talk about it really, but um, you know, you said that the vibe is going to be really kind of centered around that the other guy, the 65 Chevy Cool and stuff like that. If you had to kind of describe, you know, that overall, you know, feeling that you're kind of putting into it, because I know as an artist, you pour, I mean, your heart and soul
Hmm.
into albums and into music. What is your general thought process as far as like the emotion that you're trying to put into this album?
This album is each song is a flow, like it flows into the next song. So it's like story wise, if you're looking at it as a whole, like by the time you get to the end of the album, the songs are kind of like a an epiphany in the character's mind in the album.
Mm,
So this overall sound wise, I was doing a lot of like notes towards Tom Petty, and there's a band
okay.
called the Gaslight Anthem, which is like my favorite band. They're a big punk rock band from New Jersey. So it's been like it's definitely different
Ooh,
sound wise, but it's
punk
still
rock band, huh?
yeah. I really I love pop punk and punk rock. When I was a teenager, and so it's
Oh
I
my
was like,
dude, I just saw that picture of you, like the hair
mm-hmm,
flip picture.
yeah.
I'm gonna you keep explaining the story. I'm gonna try to pull up this picture on my phone and show
Oh
you.
yeah, so I was a big punk rock fan, as a teenager, but I listened to country music too. So it was like, for a while, I just kind of let that punk rock part of me go to strictly focus on just straight country. Well, it's like when you're an artist, and then you have to take all the influences that shape the music that you write and the music that shaped you growing up. So um, I wanted to incorporate all of those things into this next album because it's different than anything I've done before.
So, since we're talking about punk rock and you know pop punk and stuff like that, I gotta ask, My Chemical Romance or Good Charlotte?
Good Charlotte,
All day, every day, baby. Hell yeah. Okay. Simple Plan, Blink 182.
Blink 182.
Okay. Okay. You know what? I knew I kept you around for a reason. I was
um, give me another one. Give me let's see. Oh, I'll give you one here.
okay.
Um, Fallout Boy or All American Rejects.
Oh my god. I'm gonna have. I probably have to go with Fallout Boy just for
All right, man. All right.
the like diversity of their albums.
For sure.
And like
Yeah.
all like I feel like All American Rejects had like, Dirty Little Secret and Move Along and a couple of those big ones. But if
Yeah.
you like a Fallout Boy album, you can listen from like start to finish. And if
Hmm.
you can get past the extremely lengthy titles, it's
Hmm.
just like phenomenal from start to finish.
And they're a band that's great. I mean, they are, in
Ooh, I
essence, a
found it.
band that has just grown in 15, years, and it's changed their sound consistently.
Oh yeah. Let's see. I'm see if you can see that. Barely, maybe.
Yes.
That was
There
my
you,
MySpace profile picture back in the
there
day.
you go, man. That was the
Yeah.
MySpace look.
Yep. I forget what cheap Photoshop app I like photoshopped some grunge the word beast into my
Yep.
picture.
What was your profile song?
Oh man. I'm Just a Kid by Simple Plan.
Okay.
Yep. And then I'm pretty sure it was Welcome to My Life there for a little while because I was a sad little boy. But that has changed progressively over time. Um I've seen a couple of duets
Mhm.
with you and Caitlin, which I
Yeah.
love. Like they have
Thanks,
been
man.
absolutely awesome. I didn't realize that she was a singer,
Right? She's a
you
great
know?
singer, and yeah,
Holy crap.
I keep pulling her into stuff and telling her that, but she's like, "No, I can't do it. I just do this for fun." I'm like, "No, seriously, you can do this."
Yeah, no, she definitely can.
Yeah.
Like I forget what was the first one that you guys put out?
It was
It was like
called "Don't Look Down."
yes,
Yeah.
yes, that was amazing. And I think that was
Thanks,
a
man.
moment where I was like, wait a second. I was like, so she can sing? Okay. And then like the next one came out and I was like, "Oh damn. Okay. Like this is
Yeah.
not just like a one-time thing. Like this was, this is legit."
Yeah. That was,
So,
I was, obviously working on my stuff, and she's like been supportive of it and all this, but then we would like write songs together and like try to sing them together. And then I was like, we were both just like, why don't we just try to do something for fun as like a fun side project? So we put stuff out, and then we were
right.
getting reactions like the one you just gave. We're like, all right, so let's try another one. So we did another one, and then we just kept going with it. But yeah,
Yeah, no.
Raymond and Rose, it's our middle names.
Yeah, cuz like Raymond and Rose, I mean, this one's got 7.6 thousand views. There's another one with 1,000 views. There's definitely Nothing's More Beautiful. That's a really good one too.
Thanks,
Um
man.
so you said that you kind of drug her into it. You just kind of like, was that how it started? You were just like, hey, we should do this. Like, this is fun. We've been writing music together. Let's record one. Or who
Well,
came up with the idea?
it was kind of like, it kind of just true, what's the phrase I'm looking for? It kind of just
Like came into
started a life of its
existence?
own, really.
Yeah.
What's that? What am I trying to say?
Dude, normally I would have an answer for that, but like I'm equally as tired, hence drinking a bang at 8 o'clock at night. So
Yeah, it just kind of took a life of its own on because she had never been to a studio in Nashville before. And so I
mm,
brought her to one, and then she had never like sang in a vocal booth. So I just kind of had that song recorded with like this idea in my head. I was like, okay, let's get her in here to sing on it. And so she did, and she did great. So it was just kind of, like, all right, well, let's do another one. Let's do another one. So,
yeah.
I think we will end up putting like a side project EP out.
I was gonna say, if Caitlin, if you're still watching this, girl, you guys need to collaborate and put out an EP or at least like a guest track on an album. Because I know doesn't Stapleton and his wife have sung together on tracks, right?
Sounds right.
I believe, right? Yeah. So that hey, I'm just saying, people are doing it,
Yeah,
and you sound phenomenal. So that's my shameless plug.
there we go.
I expect to see that in the next couple of years.
All right.
Oh man. All right. Well, this has been awesome, conversation. I definitely appreciate you taking the time to come on and reach out to the listeners and being able to plug your new song and stuff. So, is there a date or a time that we can expect the next song to drop? I know you said you've been trying to do one a month. So,
One a month. So I'm assuming probably, let me look at the calendar here. It's probably going to be mm, probably the third, maybe third, fourth week in May, I would have to say.
okay. So late May, guys, you'll be able to find another song that's being released by Mark. And for right now, you have what? Another Shot and the other guy, right?
Hmm.
Those are the
Yeah.
two that are out right now. So go ahead and go out and listen to those. They are posted. If you're watching this in the watch party on Facebook, I posted the Spotify links. If you click on the Spotify link that's there, it'll take you to the other guy, and you'll be able to find all of Mark's music directly there. I highly recommend She Don't Go to Church. You Know Who to Call. If there's a bar up in heaven, and I actually could probably just go through the entire freaking track list. So
Thanks, man.
I'll spare everybody from just naming off every single song, but definitely go and check it out. And then if you want me to, or want to help me peer pressure Caitlin into doing an EP, go to YouTube and I'll post this link as well. Don't Look Down and Nothing's More Beautiful and Cry Baby. Raymond and Rose on YouTube. Go watch it and we'll get that EP to happen together.
Heck yeah, man.
So, all right, Mark. Well, do you have anything that you'd like to plug or add?
No, man. I just I want to thank you again for having me on to not only talk about my music but my family shop too. Leach's Meats and Sweets in Barberton, Ohio. You can call down there and pick up any kind of food that you want that we sell, and pick it up curbside, and then check out my music as well. But Jan's a great guy, so if you do follow him, you are following good people. So thanks, buddy.
I appreciate that, man. 110%. So, all right, guys. Until next time, we will be here next Tuesday at 7 p.m. for another episode of Let's Talk About Something Else with Kathy Yaros. And we will be adding in a couple of other live stream guests along the way. So keep your eyes peeled for different events as they pop up on Facebook. As for right now, keep chasing that apex. And until next time, I will see you on the other side of a screen because we're quarantined.